Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Woohoo! So, start to the weekend, I thought I would go ahead and start off doing a quick Twitter review from the deadlinger.com. Um, it was kind of quiet, but there's some good tweets in here, and we can kind of anticipate or discuss why I think they've been quiet because they've been busy with some upcoming events that unfortunately I won't be going to at all. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the tweets. So if I go back, the week started off on the 7th, so that was Monday, and the first tweet actually came out April 8th for this week, so the 8th. So it said from Richard Keene was the first one. He put, looking at memory use and how to reduce it, have some good clues. It's the object's textures. Some are huge. So this is nice. I'm not quite sure what textures they were using before, like how much of that's custom, how much of that is maybe some default stuff within the game. Again, I don't program, so my thought process has always kind of gone along the lines that the default things that come in like the Unity editor might not always be optimized because those are just like base assets that people can use for trying how to program stuff out. And when you take a procedurally generated world that uses these large textures, my thought would be that's a lot of extra, possibly unnecessary memory usage that could be better put elsewhere. So when you read here, the textures specifically he mentions, since they're doing a build 14 kind of like a graphics rewrite, it's quite possible that as they start to put in more custom textures, that we're going to see a lot better performance coming out of their game, which is super exciting. Because I've actually read some like a couple tweet posts in the forum. Uh, just sometimes as you look around and it might only be like one or two posts, but kind of a common thing that comes out sometimes for games is, don't worry about making the game look pretty when there's a lot of more things we would be interested in having you fix, such as the reproducing items or, barricading. Those are the two things that come to my mind because those are the things that, really stand out to me. However, you have to also improve the graphics. And don't look at it from the standpoint of because you want to make the game look pretty. Look at it from the standpoint that that's still part of game optimization. Because not only are you making it look pretty, but now potentially as they put in more optimized textures, maybe they found a way that they could compress the image better so it's not so large. Well, now you're going to have a more efficient running game. Build 13 was incredible in terms of stabilization. I have not had, well, I'm not going to say anything. It's been really, really stable. I mean, it hasn't been crashing for me like it has in the past. We've put out quite a few daily episodes now, and during these recordings, where I don't really edit anything out, the last few episodes of like Build 12, I leave in all of the crashes. Like you can see as I play live that the game would crash, but Build 13 we haven't had that yet. It's been phenomenally stable, and when you take little things like this, that's just going to make it perform even better. You're going to get much better frame rates. And that's going to be important because at some point when you really start to focus on multiplayer aspects, you're going to need that frame rate because that's going to impact people's ability to play with one another. So, yeah, go ahead, work on those textures, make the game look pretty, and while you're at it, go ahead and make the game that much more efficient running as well. So, go ahead, knock it out of the park. After that, on later on, April 8th as well, Hacker Girl put, but in all seriousness, we're excited to be submitting. And I'm not quite sure. I had to look at what Indiecade was, and it looks like it's like another conference. So looks like they're going out of their way to go to several different maybe like the con. So there's like an Indiecade con that they're going to be going to. Or I don't know if they're actually going to, but it said submitting to, so I'm not quite sure what that means. But I think it had like there's some kind of big awards thing that they do at the Indiecade. I don't know much about it. This is the first time I heard of it. Did a quick Google search, so maybe you can look it up. Maybe you know a little bit more about Indiecade. But I think it's good because, like I said previously, they're hitting a point now where a person could say a point of no return. I mean, anytime you put a game out, especially if you put it out on Steam and make it available for early access purchase, you're putting your work and your soul out there for criticism, and I'm sure this game gets a fair amount of criticism. Now, I joined right after Christmas, and it was right as Build 12 hit. Like, I'm not quite sure when I don't remember the exact day that I joined when Build 12 came out, but it was pretty darn close to when Build 12 went live. And from that time, I think the only thing I'd heard about was they went to a game developer conference. But I guess there really hasn't been too many super huge cons between then and now. So we're looking, 4 months into the year, and now they're starting to go to some cons. And we'll talk about that because I think it mentions in some of the tweets there, some of the con business. But let me tell you why that is also important. Is because now you're really, really starting to put your name out there, which is important because you want to bring that money. Well, potentially you want to bring that money. That's going to be in the form of people buying the early access game. That's going to be possibly from interested investment partners. So let's do it. Go to those cons and start putting your name out there. In fact, that's kind of what this image right here for the pins. That's something they're handing out. So that's important. That's why I'm thinking in my mind, that Build 14 is going to come a lot quicker than Build 13 does. Because right now, Build 13 is what you're presenting at the con. Essentially, you're saying, hey guys, come look at this. And it has a few big issues. The underlying game mechanics are there. Survival. I can barricade a home. I can scavenge for food. The thing is, there's just a few things that are still broke, like those little bars that tell you that you're hungry or infected. On one hand, I'm happy that the infection resets to 0 after you log out of the game and come back in, because in my mind that still simulates possibly you're taking a nap, you're resting, you're fighting off the cold. That's fine, because right now they don't have any other way to get rid of infection. But hunger resets. You technically would never have to eat. So, where's the incentive to go scavenge for food? Because all you gotta do is log out of the game, come back in, hunger bar refilled. There's things like that. Items that duplicate. So trust me, if these are things that I'm finding, then other people are going to find these things as well. And that's what you're going to be selling to the public when you hit these really large cons. But if Build 14 is as major of an improvement on the game as Build 13 was, then I would say you need to get that out there. Or if not the complete Build 14, we need to start seeing some of those mini patches along the way. That way, as those cons come and go, what you're showing to the public then is a much more polished, refined game. Otherwise, you're just showing them the same bugs we get. So that's why I'm thinking Build 14 or pieces of Build 14 are coming sooner than later. I don't think we're going to have another 2-month wait. To be quite honest, I don't think it's going to be 2 months. I'm not quite sure people want to watch me continue playing the same build for another 2 months, because we've pretty much have done it all. So I'm thinking it's coming sooner. So anyway, that was kind of the importance of the cons there in my mind. So then also April 8th, as a reminder, survivors, we have no set ETAs on build releases. We'll drop some hints on a release day or two before it. I might have misread that. See, we'll drop some hints on release a day or two before it. And that's what happened with Build 13. But that's like any developer. People get excited. When's it coming? When's it coming? We keep asking, and they can't tell you. They just can't. Especially, if you just look at any kind of online game in the history of any video game possibly quite ever, they can't. There's no way. Because once they have some content, they have to test it. So they do internal testing. From the internal testing, then they kind of release that patch out to small batches or something. Some games even have test servers where they release it to test servers and let people play content to test it out. At some point, they have to, find bugs or something. It's a constant game of, it's a game in itself almost for the developer on their side. Is this ready to release out to the public? So the thing is with the Dead Linger, because they're such a small development house, they have to be sure that then when they release it, that it works. You take a look at like the big, huge games, Sony or World of Warcraft or something. They can put something out. They've tested it. I'm not saying they didn't test it, but they can put something out, and if they break something, it's much easier for them to go ahead and throw a huge amount of resources at it to throw in hot fixes and really dig into what broke. Because they tested it and it worked fine, but then when they released it out, they ran into problems. Now you take somebody like Sandswept, much smaller development, they have to make sure that it works much, much better than a big company. Because it's going to be much more difficult for them to just say, oh, okay, let's go ahead and look and figure out what happened. Now, when Build 13 came out, couple days in, they did put out a hotfix because they realized they found some issues people were complaining about, and they quite efficiently put out a hotfix which addressed those concerns for the most part. The bicycle does perform a lot better, but we still get some exploding bales of hay and some things that they wanted to fix didn't quite work out. But like they fixed the sky, so some people were getting a particular issue they couldn't address, so they just said, hey, here's how we'll fix it. We'll just put in the new sky system. So I'm not saying that they can't do hot fixes because they've proven they can, but I think, this is my opinion, I think they just have to be that much more prepared up front. That's why it takes them longer to put these builds out, is because they just have to be that much more sure that it works before they throw it out there, because they don't have quite the resources to invest in doing hot fixes. I think that's a smarter thing. Put out something that is working before you invest time taking several steps backwards to do hot fixes. They realized though that some of their hot fixes, 13A, didn't quite fix some aspects, so that's why they have to jump ahead on into 14, and hopefully some of the things in 14 address the issues that were still there from 13 and 13A. Okay, so anyway, no ETAs, because you just can't. Alright, let's take a look here. Then on the 8th, Tuesday was busy. They got new terrain texture coming in Build 14, and then they got a couple pictures, and this is one of them. This I thought was actually really, really cool. I don't know if I can blow that up. No. Can I just cancel out of that? Alright, so take a peek here. I'm not sure how it will show up on your screen, but actually I see broken, like leaves, dried grass kind of stuff. This is like a fall type of texture, foresty type. It actually almost looks just like a photograph, like someone just went out into the woods and snapped a photo, and now that's a texture. I don't know how 3D-ish that will appear, or if it will be kind of a rather flat looking texture. And so once you kind of have, see, when you're looking straight down at it, it's actually a very lovely texture. It's really nice. And I've seen, this is like woods and things that we've gone camping. It's like, oh, I've seen this. But now my fear is if you move that camera up, so now that texture is flat on the ground, how will it look then? Oh, well, let's see here. I'm just trying to read these. Oh, okay. Yeah, some people were said, oh, you almost had me. Oh, just take pictures of the ground. And then Jeff Keen, I had to scroll down here to read this here. He says, no, guys, this is actually the texture. I wasn't joking. He says, in fact, I just realized you can see my mouse cursor. All right, so Now it's like a Where's Waldo. Where's the mouse cursor? I gotta find that now. Oh, maybe? There. Holy cow, it's gonna be a whole another 10 minutes of me trying to find his mouse cursor. Oh, man. I was never very good at Where's Waldo. No, Mr. Keen, I do not see your mouse cursor. Okay, he would know. He knows what his mouse cursor looks like. I don't. I almost think it's right here. Like it's a small arrow. I think it's here. Alright. I almost feel like we gotta do like a hashtag, where's my mouse? Pointer. Hashtag pointer. She says you planted the cursor there. He put it in the ground and then took a picture. Like I'm telling you, this is an amazing texture. Will look good if your character looks straight down at the ground. We'll have to see how it looks when you're just running around in the world. Alright. Well, we'll see if anybody can like go to the website, pull up their picture, and see if you can find the cursor and point it out. I'm thinking it's right up here, kind of in the upper right-hand corner. Alright, well anyway, enough of that game. So let's see here. Then they put up another texture. So this is pretty good. Jeff Keen says, wasn't kidding, that's the screenshot of one of the new textures. Here's another. And that one, you can make it a little bigger. This is pretty good too. Both of the textures are actually really nice. And here's some computer. I think I think this time he left some stuff up in whatever editor picture viewer he's using, just to kind of show you that no, this is actually going to be in the game. They both look really nice. Again, though, I think they mentioned, though, they're getting some shader work. Let's see here. Let's come on back. I thought I mentioned or saw in here something about shaders. Let's see here. On the 9th, Afternoon Survivors, we have a few exciting convention-related things happening in the next 2 weeks. So we've already covered conventions, but like here on the main page, there's mention of the Salt Lake City Comic Con. They put a map of where they're at. So if you're in Utah or can get to Utah and want to check it out, go check it out. Go see all the other stuff that's going on too. Go check out the Dead Linger. Here's the entrance. I'm not sure how big the con is. This is just a section of the map showing where they are. But here's the entrance, pre-registration line. So almost as you're coming in, they're very near the front. And they got a couple booth spots they're taking up. So go check it out. And then PAX East. That's the big one there, PAX East. So Jenny is going, not the whole team. I'm not sure who of the team will be here for the Dead Linger in the Salt Lake Comic-Con. I used to live in Lehi, Utah, which is just actually pretty... This is a little bit south of Salt Lake, past the point on the mountain. And if I was still there, I definitely would be heading out there. So if anybody goes to the Salt Lake City Comic-Con and you happen to check out the Dead Linger, share pictures somewhere and let me know where you post your pictures. Because I'll be jealous and go pick up a pin from, if you go to PAX East, go pick up your pin, because that's what Jenny has. She'll be handing out pins. So they don't have a booth spot at PAX East. I'm sure that's a pretty penny, but PAX is huge. That's I used to watch it a lot on live streams. Well, not it. I would say I'd watch the D&D presentations where they had like Will Wheaton and the Penny Arcade guys play. Okay, that's just me, but that's how I know about PAX. But anyway, that's the con stuff they'll be heading to. Then on the 9th, Jeff Keen put out, this is a Dead Linger thing. I can't tell you more. So here was a picture. Yeah, I don't have a clue. Well, it looks like some nice texture work of some kind, like some stitching, some, I don't know, little nail things. I need to see more. But I think, if this is kind of like how the textures are going to start turning out, they look really good. I mean, it's great. You can see the stitch in the hole from the stitches, some shadowing in there, layers overlapping. Whatever it is, looks pretty good. And they said it's a Dead Linger thing. See, somebody here put a Plague Doctor mask. Yeah, definitely want to see more. Yeah, I don't have a clue. They got me. And then up a little bit more, also on the 9th, said today on the Dead Linger, working on a new terrain shader integration. Vast expanses. Okay, so shader, new terrain shader. So here's the thing. I've learned a little bit about shaders. Shaders help simulate kind of 3D-ness. And when it comes to ground textures, shaders help fill in the nooks and crannies in between like pieces on the texture, help giving it that 3D kind of feel. So why would that be cool in the Dead Linger? Well, I could be wrong. That's my understanding. Limited programming and computer knowledge is how I see shaders. So when you turn shaders on, it helps give depth to different things that you look at. So specifically when we talk about the ground, in my mind, how I'm imagining it is that's what's going to help keep something looking flat versus when you're like looking at the horizon. If you have some good shaders in there, you're going to see some depth to that flat texture, giving it a faux 3D effect, kind of like a simulated 3D effect, which would be very cool because it will help those leaves and things kind of stand out. Now when you turn the shaders off, when you look straight down, yeah, you see the nice texture of the leaves, but then when you look up on the horizon, then it's going to look very much flat, just super flat with like the grass poking up through it. So shaders are definitely going to help the terrain look more 3D-ish. So cool. Shaders are great. Then on the 14th or 14 hours ago, this was yesterday. Congrats, retweeted. I have hit a milestone of 50 almost daily TDL videos. That was me. I sent them a little thing. I was pretty happy hitting 50 episodes, so I shared that to them, and then they retweeted it here to their main site. Yay, I got onto the front page-ish. And then we've got Dead Linger. This was just a few hours ago. So do we have any survivors in town for PAX East? Be sure to look for Jenny tomorrow at the show floor. Well, I didn't realize that's tomorrow. Wow. And then the Salt Lake City Comic Con is actually next weekend. So that's like 2 cons back to back. So if you're at PAX East, cool. Go get you a free pin. I won't be going. I won't be getting a free pin, and I doubt they're sending me one in the mail. So I'm a little jealous because that's something I would love to take up as a part of Dead Linger history. I've hit my Dead Linger history as I've hit their front page as a Twitter mention. So I guess I'll just have to be happy with that. Alright, so cool. This was an extra long tweet review thing here today that I shared. Lots of good stuff coming out. So I'm pretty excited with what they have based on some of the tweets they put. But they've had fewer tweets this week than I've seen in previous weeks, and I honestly think it's because they're really gearing up for these cons, or it could be they're really buckling down, getting content prepared for the game because of the cons. And I really think the cons are driving their progress. So I expect the tweets to really start picking up after the Comic Con, the Salt Lake Comic Con, because then they won't be worrying about getting the booth set up and all that stuff. They'll actually be back in the studio. So congratulations, good luck at the cons there, Sandswept. Enjoy those fun weekends, and for the rest of us, we'll take a look at your Twitter posts next week. Oh, I did want to share, I'll save it for the roadmap. So anyway, thanks for watching the Twitter review. We'll see everybody next time. Bye.